No one in the neighborhood ever talked about the house at the end of Blackwood Street. It had been empty for nearly 3 decades, its windows covered in dust, the paint peeling off its once white walls, and the front yard overgrown with wild grass. Some claimed they had seen shadows moving inside at night. Others swore they had heard whispers when they walked past it. But no one dared to go near it. That was until the Carter family moved in. Daniel and Sarah Carter had been looking for a house within their budget, and when they stumbled upon the listing for the Blackwood Street property, they couldn't believe their luck. A large Victorian house with a spacious yard, offered at a price much lower than anything else in the city. It seemed like a dream come true. The real estate agent hesitated when they inquired about it, mumbling something about the house being difficult to sell. But when they insisted, he finally agreed to a showing. The moment they stepped inside, Sarah felt an odd chill run down her spine. The air was heavy, carrying a strange dampness that shouldn't have been there in a house that had been locked up for years. Dust floated in the dim light seeping through the old curtains, and the wooden floor creaked under their footsteps. But none of that mattered to Daniel. He was too focused on the potential. A little cleaning, a fresh coat of paint, and this place will be perfect, he had said, squeezing Sarah's hand. Their 8-year-old son, Michael, wasn't as thrilled. He clung to Sarah's side, his wide eyes scanning the dark corners of the house. "Mom, I don't like it here," he whispered. "It smells bad." Sarah knelt beside him, brushing his dark curls away from his forehead. "It's just an old house, sweetheart. Once we clean it up, it will feel like home." Michael didn't argue, but he kept glancing over his shoulder, as if expecting something or someone to appear. They moved in the following week. The first few days were spent dusting, scrubbing, and unpacking. Daniel worked late shifts at his new job, leaving Sarah alone with Michael most evenings. That was when the strange things began happening. At first, it was subtle. The kitchen faucet would start dripping even though Sarah was sure she had turned it off. The lights flickered, but she dismissed it as faulty wiring. Michael complained that he heard footsteps in the hallway at night, but Daniel assured him it was just the old pipes settling. Then, one night, Sarah woke up to the sound of whispering. It was faint, almost like the wind blowing through the trees, but the words were unmistakable. Soft, hushed voices, overlapping, murmuring in a language she didn't understand. She sat up, her heart pounding. Daniel was sound asleep beside her. She held her breath and listened. The whispers grew louder. Sarah turned toward the bedroom door. It was slightly open, revealing the dark hallway beyond. For a moment, she thought she saw movement, a shadow shifting against the dim light of the night. But when she blinked, it was gone. Shaking off the unease, she lay back down, telling herself it was just her imagination. The next morning, Michael refused to come out of his room. When Sarah finally coaxed him downstairs for breakfast, he wouldn't eat. His small fingers clutched the edge of the table, his face pale. "What's wrong, baby?" Sarah asked, kneeling beside him. He hesitated before whispering, "There's a lady in my room." Sarah felt a chill creep up her spine. "What do you mean?" Michael glanced toward the staircase, as if making sure no one was listening. "She stands in the corner at night. She has no eyes." Sarah swallowed hard. "Michael, that's just a bad dream. There's no lady." Michael shook his head. "She whispers to me." Sarah forced a smile, trying to keep her voice steady. "What does she say?" Michael hesitated, then murmured, "She says she wants to come inside." Sarah's stomach twisted. That night, she stayed up late, sitting in the hallway outside Michael's room. Hours passed, and nothing happened. Just as she was about to head to bed, a cold gust of air rushed past her. The hallway light flickered. Sarah's breath hitched as she turned toward Michael's door. It was open. Her heart pounded as she stepped inside. The room was empty except for Michael, fast asleep in his bed. But something felt wrong. The air was thick, suffocating. And then she saw it. In the corner, where the shadows were darkest, a shape was standing. Tall, motionless, watching. Sarah gasped, stumbling backward, her hand flying to the light switch. The moment the light flickered on, the figure was gone. The room was empty. She barely slept that night. The next day, she called Daniel at work, her voice trembling as she explained what had happened. He tried to calm her, suggesting it was just stress. But she could hear the doubt in his voice. Then the nightmares began. Sarah dreamt of a woman in a tattered black dress, standing at the foot of her bed, whispering in a language she didn't understand. She would wake up drenched in sweat, her body frozen, unable to move for several minutes. Michael's behavior worsened. He refused to sleep in his room, begging to stay in Sarah and Daniel's bed. One night, as Sarah tucked him in, he suddenly grabbed her hand, his eyes wide with fear. "She's angry, Mom," he whispered. "She says we need to leave." That was the final straw. Sarah spent the entire night researching the house's history. What she found made her blood run cold. 30 years ago, a woman named Margaret Holloway had lived there. A widow, she had become reclusive after losing her husband and child in a fire. Neighbors claimed she had started speaking to someone who wasn't there, muttering in the dead of night.